Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. So I got an email a day ago or so, and one of our community members was asking what the cost benefits are to canning your own beef, ground beef, because he saw that he could get cans of ground beef for, I believe he said around $3.44, $3.50 a piece, roughly. And he wanted to know if it was better to get that or to can your own beef. And he said that he did the math and that if he got his beef at like $3.50 a pound or so, it came out to about the same, but he wouldn't have to can it himself. Now, I'm just paraphrasing the question the way he asked it because it was in an email form. So what I decided to do is I decided to go ahead and make a quick video to premiere tomorrow, Saturday morning, of me doing just that, canning some beef. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire process because it would just take too long. So what I did was I already browned my beef, and it's ground beef. I found it on sale for $2 a pound, okay? And it's 80/20. And some people may think that 80/20, meaning 80% beef and 20% fat, may be too much, but I kind of like having that extra fat in there because it preserves a lot of the flavor and the taste in it. And I've had ground beef that was canned about just shy of 5 years ago. Just a few days ago, we took out a jar of ground beef that we canned about roughly 5 years ago, about a month shy of 5 years, and it was just fine. It tasted just fine, and it actually, I think, tastes better than putting fresh ground beef in spaghetti sauce because that's what we made with it. So I recommend that if you don't know how to can, especially pressure can, so that you can do your proteins, your meats, your chickens, your turkey. I've pressure canned sausage before. I've pressure canned bacon. Okay, all still good. All right, especially the bacon is really good. Uh, there's two ways of canning meats. There is a cold pack method, which means that you're just cutting the meat raw, packing it in there as tight as you can, putting your putting your spices in there, or salt. Usually I only put a little bit of salt in there. I don't put any water. I just cold pack it in there. I make sure the rim of the jar is nice and clean, and I go ahead and start the pressure cooking process. Okay. The other way is a hot pack method, which means that you cook the meat first, then you pack it in the jar, and then you go ahead and do the canning process. Uh, those two methods give different results. I like to can ground beef using the hot pack method, meaning that I've already uh, cooked the ground beef and put a few spices in there that are somewhat universal, all right? Which means that you can use that ground beef for whatever kind of food you want to make with it when you eventually eat it, and that the spices that you put in there will be okay for that type of food, be it spaghetti sauce, be it making tacos, be it making lasagna, all right, be it making a beef gravy, all right. So what I mean by universal spices is that just put some spices in there that will work with any kind of foods that you like to eat. Okay, so what I've done here is let me see if I can get this camera down. What I've done is I went ahead and browned. I don't even know how many pounds there was in there, but it was a big old log of ground beef. And like I said, it was $2 a pound, and that's a great price. So I bought, well, I know how much it was. It was probably I bought about 20 pounds of it. So this, what you're looking at here, is roughly 10 pounds that's been ground up. And if you see, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's little pieces of peppers in there. Of course, I put adobo in there. I put some ground pepper. I put some bell peppers in there. I put some garlic. And I think that's it as far as the spices I put in there. I don't want to put too many spices in there. Later on when we use it, if we need to add a little more spices, then that's fine. Okay? So that's the first step. while this was cooking up, I went ahead and I grabbed my jars, okay, and I cleaned them really good, okay. Now, some people will say that after you clean your jars, after you wash them out really well, that a good thing to do would be to put these in the oven at about 200 degrees for about 10 minutes or so, and that'll sanitize them. And that is true. Now, I'm telling you the way that I do it, okay, ladies and gentlemen. When you're pressure canning, you are essentially cooking this meat that's in here at about 300 degrees or higher, all right, at a positive pressure of 10 to 12 pounds, okay. What that does is that's going to kill all of the bacteria inside of this jar, okay. So when you're pressure canning, you don't necessarily have to sanitize these in the oven, okay, because they will be sanitized through the canning process. Alrighty, so that's something that you can do as an extra precautionary measure if you like, but you don't have to do it. Now, when you are making jams and water bathing a jam, you want to make sure that you sanitize your jars extremely well. The reason that is because when you're doing a water bath method, like making jams or putting up vegetables or things like that, you're not bringing the temperature of the product to as high a temperature as you do when you're pressure canning. And there's no pressure involved either. Okay, so although most of the bacteria in there, if not all, is being killed, you want to be extra careful when you're doing a water bath method, all right? And not the pressure canning method, okay? So whenever you do meats, you're going to want to pressure can, okay? That's the only way you're going to make sure that your meat can stay preserved for a long period of time. Like I said, a few days ago, I had some ground beef that I had canned just shy of 5 years ago, and it was very good, okay? So what I've got here is I've got my little funnel, all right? And I'm just going to walk through this with you guys. And it's very simple, okay? So this pot in here still has all the juices. It has all the fats. It's got everything. I'm not going to try to get any extra juice. I'm just going to get whatever I grab, and I'm going to put it in there, okay? And this is so very easy to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking at $20 worth of ground beef right here, okay? And we're looking at 10 pounds. If you were to buy 10 cans of that ground beef that sells for about $3.50 a can for roughly a pound of ground beef, and it may be a little less than a pound. I think they're like 14-ounce cans. All right, so if you were to buy 10 of those, you're going to be paying $35. Okay, and right here you're looking at $20 worth of meat, and then whatever minuscule amount you're using or you're paying for the spices that you use for it, and the small amount that you're paying for the propane or the heat source that you're using to cook this. Plus, I think that the product, making it yourself like this, is a lot better, okay? Especially my favorite meat to can is cold packed chicken breast, because it's like the chicken breast that you buy in a can at the store, but the quality is much better. If you cold pack chicken breast, all you have to do is put a little bit of salt on the top after you cold pack your chicken breast, and then do your canning method, you do your pressure canning. That is going to be the very best chicken that you've ever tasted out of a can. Okay, it really is. And as you can see, I used the flat end of a spoon to just push this down a little bit. I don't like to compress it down to where I can try to stuff as much meat in there as possible. I just push it down a little bit, and then I go ahead and I fill it up to the top. all right, to the top of my funnel, okay? And then I just push it down a little bit again, not really hard, all right? And you'll see that as I lift it out, there's going to be about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch of room, okay? So you do that, and this thing is good to go. See, that is full, okay? That's good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and see how many of these jars I can pack with this. I got 7 jars ready because my canner will take 7-quart jars at the most. Okay, so I've got 7 jars ready. I think that I might get at least 6 and maybe 7. I'm not sure, but we'll have to see. It's been a long time since I've done this, since I've done some canning of ground beef or any meats at that. Okay, but ladies and gentlemen, this right here is so easy to do. It is so price effective. So you're not spending that much money. If you don't have a canner, all right, and you don't have canning equipment, don't be afraid to go out there and buy some, okay? I'm going to show you the canner that I'm going to be using today, and it's going to be the first time that I've ever used this canner. It's an old Presto, a really old Presto, and you can tell because it's so thick. The walls on it are a lot thicker than the newer ones, right? So it's an older Presto, but I found it on Craigslist for $5. Okay, you don't have to go out and buy a brand new one. You know, get on Craigslist and look around. And if you don't find one when you're looking for it, just keep an eye out. Ask around, and you can probably find yourself a used one for a really good price, because the canner that I'm using today is a canner that was given to a lady. She's a nurse. That was given to her by her mother, and she never used it. So when she told me that over the phone, that her mother gave her that canner, I already knew that I wanted it, because I knew that if her mother gave it to her, it was probably an old canner. And you know that the old ones, they are better made, all right? So there's my third one. So I've noticed that the older ones, the older canners, even the Presto type, which the Presto to me is like a second tier canner. It's not the best. The best canner, in my opinion, is the All-American, but it's very pricey, okay? Even buying it used, they're pretty pricey, but they are probably the best quality canner that I've seen, all right? I have one of those, but I wanted to try this one that I got here because I haven't used it yet, all right? So in addition to this being a money-saving, to me, I call it kind of a hobby, because this really, I really like doing this, to tell you the truth. So in addition to this being something that you can do that saves money, all right, and that helps you prep, to me, this is therapeutic for me, all right? I like to cook, and I like to spend time in the kitchen. I've always said that I could have made someone a really good wife. So instead, I settled for making a good husband for my wife. But I really do like to cook and to be in the kitchen. And this, to me, to spend a couple of hours doing something like this, to me, like I said, is therapeutic. It brings me a lot of inner peace when I do this kind of stuff. So if you haven't done this before, first of all, don't be afraid to try it, okay? Number two, you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it, okay? If you buy everything brand new, okay? So here, let me bring this up just a little bit. You can see the can from there, the jar. If you buy everything brand new, I would say that you would probably have, depending on the kind of canner that you get. Now, let's say you get a Presto canner, a decent sized Presto canner. Let's say like a 22-quart Presto canner. You're looking at spending probably between, if you're buying it brand new, probably about $150 or so, maybe a little less. You could probably find it on sale. Okay, let me see. I think I thought my camera went out on me there for a minute. So yeah, so you're probably spending about $150, and then once you're done, you know, getting all your peripherals, you know, like your funnel and your jar tongs, you know, the tongs that hold your jar, you're probably going to spend about another $20, maybe. Not even that much, you know. And of course, when you buy your jars, you're going to make that initial investment, but the jars are reusable. So I would say that if you started out with about $250, you can have everything you need, including, you know, probably 24 to 36 jars, if not more. Okay, in order for you to be able to start out and have everything you need in order to start canning. Okay, now do I recommend that if you've never canned before, do I recommend that you start off with canning meats? Honestly, I don't really think it matters. A lot of people say, well, when you start canning, just start canning and start making jams so you can get used to it. But the thing is that making jams is a totally different process than pressure canning. Okay, it's a totally different process. If you want to do that so that you can start out nice and slow and get used to the equipment, there's nothing wrong with that. But ladies and gentlemen, you can see what I'm doing here, and it's not brain surgery, all right? It's not rocket science. It's not difficult. Anybody can do this. All you have to do is give it a try, and you'll see that you can do it. And the product, like I said, you will be very happy with the product. So you can see there, ladies and gentlemen, I still have a little bit of meat in my pot right here. I'll probably try to squeeze this meat in there because, like I said, I didn't pack it really tight. So I'm going to try and squeeze that in. But as you can see here, I've got 5. Okay, here, let me show it to you right here. Let me put them right here so you can see them. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you haven't seen my very early videos when I first started, I said that I'm not high tech, and I probably never will be. So I've kept my promise as far as not being high tech goes. But as you can see here, I've got 5 jars from that 10 pounds of meat. So I've got approximately 2 pounds of meat in each jar. Now, when I used that jar of meat here about a week ago or so, I think it was about a week ago, that 1 jar of meat made enough food for us to eat at least a couple of meals each person. And there was still a little bit of meat left over. Okay, it's actually still in the fridge. I'm going to take that meat and feed it to the dogs. But there's still some meat left over. So it makes a lot of food. And you can take out 1 jar and not be worried about wasting food, depending on the size of your family, of course. Okay, so I've got a family of 4, and 1 jar of meat will feed us for a whole day. And that's not skimping either. That's pretty much eating really good. Okay, now when you're filling these, make sure that you don't overfill them. At least leave yourself anywhere between like 3/8 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch of headspace, okay? Because you want to give that jar a little bit of room so that when it's under pressure in that canner, that the juices don't want to escape and break your seal, okay? So I think that right there, actually I can put the last little bit in that jar right there. Yeah, I can put that right there. So that right there will do it. Let's bring this over here. Okay. Okay, so now what do we do next? So the next thing that we want to do is, you see these lids right here? I've had these lids here at a slow simmer, okay? So that they can get sanitized. Okay? So the next thing that we want to do is I'm going to take the water from my lids, and I'm going to take that water and transfer it over to my canner. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to end up putting a little bit more water in there. Okay. And let me go ahead and grab me some more water. Because what you want is, that'll be good for now, okay? What you want is, you want that water to only come up to about here in your in your jars. When you put all your jars in there, you don't want the water to come up too high. You want it to come up right here. You want to have enough water in that canner so that it doesn't all evaporate while you're doing your pressure cooking, okay? So now that I've got my lids ready to go, I'm going to put them to the side here. I'm going to grab a very clean paper towel, okay? So I've got a nice clean paper towel. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to clean the rims off of each of my jars. And even if you think they're clean, still do this. It's very important that when you put your lids on, that your jars, that the rims of your jars, even if, especially if you're jarring meats, that these rims are very clean. Because with the meat, you can have a little bit of oil or fat in there, and that can be enough. Just a little bit of fat on your rim can be enough to break that seal, okay, to prevent that lid from sealing. Now what I'm going to do is, now that I did that, I'm going to switch over to the other side of my paper towel. Okay, I've got some white vinegar here. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of vinegar on there. Actually, more than a little bit, enough to get it pretty wet. Okay, and while I have my vinegar out, I'm going to probably put about 2 or 3 ounces of vinegar in here. Okay, now for those of you that may not know, what the white vinegar does is, if you have water that's a little bit hard and that has maybe some minerals in it, that white vinegar will keep your jars from getting cloudy, okay? If you don't have white vinegar and you don't do it, it's not going to hurt the process, okay? It's just more of a cosmetic thing. That way it'll keep you from having to spend too much time cleaning these jars later on. Okay, so with that white vinegar, I'm going to go through my rims one more time, all right, with the white vinegar. Okay, that white vinegar is going to make sure it cleans it really well. Okay, one more. Okay, now I'm done with those rims. Okay, I can put my paper towel down. I am now going to go ahead and grab my lids one at a time. I'm just going to put them to the side. Now, ladies and gentlemen, someone has asked me this question a while back, and it's not one of the community members that asked me this, but a friend of mine asked me this question a while back because they got into canning, okay? They asked me, why is it that when you get new jars and you open them up, because normally when you get new jars, they already come with a lid and a ring on them already, right? So they asked me, why is it that when you get new jars and you open them, they stink? And I figured out what it is. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. It's, you see this rubber gasket around the inside of the lid? That rubber gasket, when it's on that jar, it's the smell of that rubber. It's like the concentrated smell of this rubber that you smell. So next time you guys get a new jar, open it and smell it, and you're gonna smell that. You're gonna be like, oh wow, that stinks. That's what that is. It's this rubber gasket. It's the smell that's been trapped inside that jar for so long. Okay? But you always want to make sure that you wash your lids and your rings, and then that you simmer them for a few minutes for a couple of reasons. One, of course, you're sanitizing it by doing that. But also, when you simmer it in hot water for a few minutes, this ring around inside, it makes it more gummy. So it helps it to create a better seal. Okay, so now if you guys can see, all right, I'm going to put my ring on, and I'm not going to tighten it hard. I'm going to tighten it with 2 fingers, okay? And that's it. That's as tight as you need to get it. Now, something that's very important, all right, because I did this one time before, and it's a mistake. And I ended up having 1 jar of meat that I packed before go bad. Because what I did was I grabbed the jar and I shook it. Now, you don't want to do that. Once you put that ring on your jar, okay, you want to make sure that you keep it nice and straight, that you don't tip it over or anything like that. Because if any of those juices get in between that gasket and the rim, you're not going to have a good seal, okay? So you take it nice and careful. You put it inside of your pressure canner, and that's good to go. Okay, so our next one, all right? Now, when I handle these, once I've cleaned the rim and once I've put the lid on, when I handle them, I am very careful with them, okay? So here we go. This is the second one. And what I'm going to do now that I'm already working on my second one, I'm going to turn on the fire. I'm going to turn on the fire. Okay, I'm putting it on high. Now, if you are doing cold packing meat, if you're cold packing meat, you want to make sure that when you turn on your fire, that you allow it to come to temperature slowly, all right? Not really fast, because it can crack your jar, okay? So there you go. That's my third one. And like I said, I like to handle these I like to be very delicate with how I handle these jars. Once I've got the product in there and they're getting ready to get the rings on. Okay? And you do not have to pack these very hard at all. Right? You do not have to twist these caps on very hard at all. Okay? So, and you know, this is the part where it helps if you like doing this, okay? Because if you have a little bit of patience, I have one of my lids pop back up. If you have a little bit of patience, all right, and you're careful with what you're doing, you're going to get a good product in the end. Now, it looks to me like this may need a little bit more water, so I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit more water. I'm going to go ahead and show you the canner that I got. And that right there is perfect. Okay, I'm going to see if you can see, okay? I don't know how good you can see that in there, but the water is about 1/3 up. It's about 1/3 up the jar. So about 1/3 of the jar is submerged in water. And it turns out that 5 is perfect for this. Okay, I could have fit 7 in this. I could have moved these a little further up. All right, and do a 6 in the circle and then 1 in the middle, but this is turning out just fine. Okay, so one thing that you want to do with your lid, okay? Here's the Presto Lid, and I kind of like this old model. This is the old model that has the little relief valve in there, all right? A lot of people, when they do canning, or a lot of people that are afraid of canning, they're afraid of your lid blowing off. But that's not going to happen with these, all right? One thing that you want to make sure that you do, though, is you want to make sure that this is clear, okay? And usually I'll just blow in it. All right, and if you blow in it and there's no stoppage in there, then it's good to go, okay? And then you also want to make sure that this is good to go, all right? Because this is going to be your relief valve in case this gets jammed up, all right? This will allow for the pressure in there to relieve without this lid popping off, all right? And here's another relief valve. So this bad boy here has kind of like 2 safeties, all right? And this is actually a really good one. This is an old one. As you can see, this is an older one. And I can tell that the quality is better than the newer ones. All right. One thing that you want to do with the gasket is every time that you use this thing, make sure that you put a little bit of oil or Vaseline around it. Now, some people may say, no, only use Vaseline. As far as I'm concerned, just a little bit of oil is fine. There's no reason to have to use Vaseline. Same thing with the All-American. Even though the All-American doesn't have a gasket, which is a good thing because there's no gasket in it to go bad, you still want to put a little bit of oil or Vaseline on the rim because it helps it to not get stuck. It helps the lid to not get stuck to the main part of the body, which is a good thing. And one thing also, ladies and gentlemen, one thing that you want to remember, all right, is that when you're done canning, when your time is up, you don't want to open that lid right away. Be patient. What you want to do is you want to make sure that once you're done canning, okay, once you're done canning and your time is up, okay, you want to turn off your heat. You want to leave that sit, all right? Don't even take the weight off, okay? You want to leave it sit there, even if it sits there overnight. Let it decompress on its own, okay? That's going to give you a higher rate of success, okay? So you want to remember to do that, okay? Some people say that you should wait until this comes to a boil before you put the lid on, okay? I've never done that. I just put the lid on, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and put this lid on right now. Let me see if you guys can see this, all right? I'm going to go ahead and put this lid on. Let's see if I can figure this out. I might have it the wrong way. Oh, actually, you know what? This is how long it's been since I've done that. There's actually a little arrow right here that shows you where to put it. So we just have to find where the arrow is, okay? Like I said, this is the first time I've ever used this canner, so I'm not very familiar with it. This is my first time I'm using it, and I'm doing it with you guys. So let's see if we can find this. Where is it? We'll find it, ladies and gentlemen. We will find it. Let's see, maybe it's over here somewhere. Okay. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you have to like to do this. Because honestly, I can't see the arrow on this one. I can't see the arrow where this arrow goes. But you know what? We're going to figure it out because there's got to be a mark here somewhere. So let's take a look. There's got to be a mark here somewhere. Oh, let's see. Maybe it's this over here. Let's see. Nope, it's not that over there. See, if we were doing live chat, you know, but if we were doing live stream, you guys can be like, no, it's over here. Because I'm sure some of you guys probably have a lot more experience doing this than I do. But that just goes to show that you don't need all that much experience with this, all right? If you just go ahead and give it a try, even if you start out with just jams, then you should be good to go. Let's see. Okay. Let's try this. Ladies and gentlemen, eventually I'm going to get it. Are you guys laughing at me yet? What kind of a prepper am I? I can't even get this darn lid on. I'm not going to give up. I still have time before it starts boiling. Also, ladies and gentlemen, what do you all think about the stock market? Holy smokes. That thing is just on a roll downhill. It is literally rolling downhill. I honestly thought that today was going to be an up day because I always think that Fridays, they pick Fridays to give everyone a break, right? There you go, I found it. So check this out, ladies and gentlemen. One of these here is smaller than the rest. So, and it's this one right here. Okay, and it's this easy right there. There you go, it's locked in. So like I said, it's not difficult. I'm going to go ahead and change this to this burner over here. Let me start this one up. That way it can be here and the steam won't be hitting underneath my stove on my microwave there. All right. So what we'll do is you see there's the weight right there, okay? And obviously I'm talking to those of you that maybe don't have any experience with canning. This is your weight, all right? This is a 10-pound weight, which is what you want, okay? When you are canning quart-sized jars, okay? Let me bring this up, that way you guys don't see half of my head. When you are canning quart-sized jars, what the book says, and what I mean by the book is the ball book, recipe book that gives you recipes on how to can and all that stuff. I think that if you buy an all-American pressure canner, I think it comes with one, but don't quote me on that. It's been a long time since I purchased one. All right, I've had that thing for years. So when you're canning quart-sized jars, especially if you're canning meats, you want this to be at pressure, all right, for at least 90 minutes, okay? And what I mean by pressure is this. I will not put this on, okay, until this has been steaming for at least 10 minutes, okay? So I won't put this on here, all right, until this has been steaming, until steam has been coming off of here for at least 10 minutes, okay? Once I put this on, okay, I will not start my clock until I hear this whistling. When I hear this whistling, okay, that's when I will start my 90-minute countdown, okay? Now, as long as this is whistling a little bit, okay, you know that you have at least 10 pounds of pressure inside of this canner. And you want to make sure that you maintain 10 pounds of pressure in that canner for the full 90 minutes. If at any one time you lose pressure, all right, I know that the newer canners have gauges on them that show how much pressure is in there. If at any one time you lose pressure where it falls below 10 pounds, you want to start the clock over again, okay, once you've gone over 10 pounds. All right, so that's what we're going to do is we're going to let this steam for 10 minutes. Once it steams for 10 minutes, we're going to go ahead and put our weight on it, okay? Once we put our weight on it, we're going to wait for that weight to start whistling. Once it starts whistling, that's when we start our timer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to do a two-part video for this presentation because I'm sure of two things. Number one, I'm sure that you don't want to sit here and watch this steaming for the next hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, all right? Number two, I honestly think I can talk for the next hour and a half straight. But if I did that, I would probably lose a lot of subscribers. So what we're going to do is we're going to call it good. We're going to go ahead and let this thing start steaming. And what I will do is tomorrow, all right, I'll put out a real short, maybe 10-minute, 15-minute video showing you as I open this up. So I will not open this after it gets done. I won't open it. I'm going to leave it right where it's at, okay? And then I'll probably do a 10, 15-minute video opening it up and showing you what it looks like after it's done, okay? So that's what we're gonna do. And as you can hear, you can probably hear it rumbling already. Okay, so it's boiling in there, and it's doing a good job. All right, I'm very excited about using this new pressure cooker because it's an oldie, but it's really nice. Okay, so like I was saying, let's go ahead and chat a little bit about the stock market. So this morning, the Dow Jones is one of the things that I look at first thing in the morning. It just gives me a gauge of what is going on as far as the economy. All right, even though we all know that the stock market is a fake economy. Okay, and I saw that it was doing well, and I had predicted yesterday to myself. I had predicted that the stock market on Friday is going to do really well because usually on Fridays they try to bring the stock market up a little bit or at least leave it flat so people don't go into the weekend, with bad mojo, right? So I looked at it, I was like, yeah, just like I thought, it's already at 160 in the green, it's doing good. Then I get to work and it's at like 300 in the red. So, in about an hour's time, there was a 500-point move from green to red, and I think it ended up the day at about 454 points or something like that in the red. So it's not doing very good, and the word in the street, and when I say word in the street, what I mean is a lot of economic experts are saying that we're going to go into a bear market, okay? So you take that as you may. Obviously, I am not a financial advisor, but I don't need to be one to be able to see with my eyes, what's going on, all right? So I had a community member leave me a comment, and it said something like, I've been in the stock market since, for X number of years. Oh, look at that, ladies and gentlemen, it's steaming. Okay, so you see, since it's steaming right now, I'm going to go ahead and put my timer on. Where's my timer? I almost never use this timer, kitchen timer, for 10 minutes. All right, I'm putting that kitchen timer on for 10 minutes. After that 10 minutes is up, I'm going to be putting this on, okay? So anyways, I had a community member, and he's a very nice person, all right? Whatchamacallit, no, he was telling me that, and he obviously very respectful, and I really appreciate when people, are critical of some of the things that I say, whether it's about the stock market, whether it's about grand solar minimum, whatever, right? Because, that's what it's all about. We're here to learn from each other. But he was telling me that he's made a lot of money over the last so many years, and that had he put that money into gold instead of the stock market, that he would not have made as much money. And ladies and gentlemen, it's true. The stock market in the last 10 or so years has done extremely well. Why is that, though? You see, what interests me is the fundamentals. That's what interests me when I either invest in something or get something to protect myself or hedge myself, right? It's the fundamentals. And if you look at the stock market for the last 10 years, why do you think it's done so well? Most of you probably already know, because the availability of extremely cheap money, meaning that interest rates were so low and held that low artificially for so long, that businesses were able to borrow money at 0% interest or near zero to purchase back their own stocks, which in turn made the price of their stocks in their company go up. And then what did they do when the price in their company went up? A lot of these guys went ahead and got their golden parachute. They sold their stocks that they had, they retired, and they left, and they made millions of dollars, all right? Same thing happened not too long ago with the tax breaks that President Trump gave to all these corporations that were hoarding trillions of dollars outside of U.S. borders. He said, okay, instead of charging you guys 39.5%, I'm only going to charge you, I think it was 22 or 25%, something like that. What did they do with that money when they repatriated it back into the United States? They bought their own stocks. So they artificially inflated the price of their stocks. And now what's happening? Now that all of the big players, all of the CEOs, all of the insider guys, the people that know what's going on inside, Now that the stocks went up, now they're starting to sell, or they've started selling a while back actually. So they've started selling, and what are they doing when they're selling? They're transferring their risk from themselves to the people that are buying it. Now, who is it that's buying all of these stocks, right? Pension funds, pension funds, mutual funds, 401ks, okay, and some individuals that are probably traders and computer algorithms, okay. These are the people that are buying these stocks. But what's the problem with it? It's that the fundamentals are not there. The price of these stocks went up due to artificial methods, due to reasons that were not fundamentally sound. All right. So that's the problem with having that. So, had I had a choice a few years back to invest in the stock market or buy gold, I would have still bought gold. Because the problem with the stock market, as far as I'm concerned, is that it's not real. It is not real, ladies and gentlemen. It is a figment of our imagination. All right? All of these dollars that are on blips on a screen, they're not real. All right? How much debt and how much credit is out in the world? It's in the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, right? Only about $1.5 trillion exists in physical form. So how can those dollars that represent your wealth on a piece of paper be real if you can never get them, right? If everyone in the U.S. went to the bank to take out their cash, you're not going to get all your cash, all right? You're going to get a percentage. It doesn't exist. So that's why I would rather hedge against the dollar. I would rather hedge against governments, all right, with something that's tangible, something that will always have value, okay? Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to do what you want to do. Of course you are, all right? What I'm telling you is what I do and why I do it and why I think it's a good reason to do it, all right? Because I'd rather be vested in something that's real, even though it's not making me a millionaire, than in something that maybe is making me a millionaire but can disappear at any second. All right, well, Monday's a holiday, I believe, because of Christmas. So come Wednesday morning, we can go to work, and on our way to work, stop at a gas station and be paying $12 a gallon for gas. We never know what's going to happen with this system because the system is not real. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's see. We are at about 48 minutes now. So let's see. This has been going for about 6 minutes right now. Okay. So like I said before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till that 10 minutes is up. Then I'm going to go ahead and put my weight on there. Now, for those of you that have not pressure canned before, when that weight starts, shaking and whistling, you want to make sure that you adjust your temperature. All right. So adjust your temperature down on if you have an electric stove, on your stove or a range, all right, adjust it down to where you're still hearing a whistle, but that it's not going crazy, all right, because it'll start wanting to jump all over the place, and you can leave the temperature up as high as you want. The pressure is going to come out, but you're just going to have to listen to that whistle really loud for the whole 90 minutes, okay? So like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and come back tomorrow morning, do a 5-10 minute video to show you all what it looks like as I open it, and to show you all, how the jars have sealed. Okay? So having said that, hey, thank you very much for all of you that have been hanging out today. Okay? I forgot to do a subscriber shout out, all right, before this video started, but I'm going to go ahead and catch that up tomorrow when we do our 10-15 minute video, because we've got a lot of new subscribers this week as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I mean, you know what? This has been a really very nice journey for the last year. Oh, how do you guys like my shirt? This is my Santa Claus shirt. See that? I'm Santa Claus. Ho, ho, ho. So this so far has been a fantastic journey, okay? And I have all of you guys to thank for it, okay? I truly do hope that you are enjoying the community as much as I am. And I truly am. My dogs are there. Dog, what are you doing? Get out of there. She's sniffing it. She's sniffing it in the presents under the Christmas tree. So I truly hope that you have been enjoying the community as much as I have. You guys are really awesome. I love doing this, and I love, especially my favorite part of the week as far as it comes to YouTube, is chatting with you guys live, on Saturdays and Sundays. So thank you for being here, those of you that are here. If those of you that couldn't make it to the live chat, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something from it. And those of you that have experience in doing canning, and either be the water bath method or pressure canning, please leave any recommendations that you may have on the comments and help out those people that are just starting. And let's try to encourage more people to start pressure canning and canning their own jams and vegetables and things like that. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, will be our future. We will need to learn how to do this if we are going to prosper in the future. This is going to be a skill that is going to be very valuable to all of us in the future. All right, so having said that, let me stop babbling. Having said that, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out. God bless.